Let me ask you something. When was the last time you let your thoughts out without editing them to the world? Not for Instagram, not for your therapist, not for even your best friend, but for you. A good old pen and paper and the truth. Well, today we are going to be diving into that to tell you how it can actually help you clear your mind and live the life that you want.
Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. Hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
Welcome to Hope, Healing and Transformation. My name is Lisa Williams, and today we're going to be talking about the wonderful world, or not so wonderful in some cases, of journaling. How we are able to connect to ourselves in writing down our thoughts. Now, I got to tell you, I don't enjoy it. Do I enjoy writing in this journal? Absolutely not. Do I do it? Yes, I do, but I do not enjoy it. What happens is our brains need to write this down. Now, if you have ever had this trauma of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to write things down. I do not want to do this because you are traumatized because your mom read your diary when you were like 14 years old, then I get it, because that's how I felt. I constantly had this little lock and key. Remember those like books that you used to have your lock and key on? I used to have one of those, and it was my little thoughts. And I was obsessed by this boy at, oh my God, the swimming club or something. And his name was Steve. And it was so funny. And I used to write down everything, every communication that I had had with this guy. All right. And he was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years older than me. Probably not that much, 5 years older than me, but I was obsessed. And at that point, I was writing everything down, my fantasies, my thoughts, my feelings, everything went into this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was mortified if anybody ever found it. Now, my mom is one of these people. She never pries into anything, but I always had this fear of my brother finding it, anybody finding it. And honestly, it freaked me out. So then I stopped writing. And what happened is I realized that I was keeping all of these thoughts and feelings to myself. And it was just really, it was hard to hold these things. It's hard to be in my head sometimes because my head is so full, and emotionally I am so full. And so guess what I found? Let me write it down. Anyway, segue to that whole story. It was funny because Steve actually ended up chasing me a few years later, and I didn't date him, but it was really quite funny. Anyway, so let's talk about the magic of journaling. I have a friend of mine who is a journal coach, and she talks about it all the time. And I personally have had a love-hate relationship, but I started to journal recently again when I picked up the book, The Morning Miracle by Hal Elrod, which changed everything. And I have journaled a little bit, but I haven't enjoyed it. But now I make a daily practice of it. Do I like it? I kind of do. And I like it because I know that no one is going to find this journal. Even Chris does not. I don't live with him all the time, so even Chris doesn't actually get into this journal. But let's talk about why our brains need to write these things down. Why we need this. What is the reason for it? Because when we are allowing ourselves the opportunity to write stuff down, what we're doing is we're allowing our brain to dump. I call it a brain dump. I call it this brain dump. Our brains are noisy. I don't know about you, but I will ping, 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 ping all over the place. And if you are not like me, I want to know your secret. But my brain pings all over the place. I have all of these random ideas. I have these ideas for business. I have these ideas for mediumship. I have these thoughts. I have these thoughts about my husband, my kids, my parents, my everything. And my brain is noisy. And sometimes when I am able to write things down, it clears away everything. It makes clarity. I will say that writing things down has saved my marriage. I'll tell you why. Many of you know that many years ago, I will say many years ago, before we got married, my husband cheated on me. I didn't know until we got married. And at that point, and no shame, blame, or anything, we got through it and we have the best relationship now. However, there were that during that time that I found out, okay, that I found out that this was going on, I started to write things down. And as I was writing things down, and as I was just finding, I was just like writing all of my thoughts, my anger, my upset, my pain, my whatever, I was writing it all down. And what it did was it cleared out the mess. It cleared everything out, because at that point there was so much coming at me that of what I should do, what I could do, what I wanted to do, what I needed to do. And there was an extra layer on it. It was with my best friend, so that was not exactly the greatest thing. And which, by the way, we're not actually friends anymore. But there was this massive space here in this thing for me, and it became messy. It was really messy. And so I wrote it down, and for days and days and days and days and days, I just wrote in my journal. And he would come home to like stacks of post-it notes where I was just writing down questions and he would answer them. Okay, listen, I got to give that guy credit. He completely answered them. He was very truthful, very honest. And we worked through our stuff. But in that place, journaling allowed me to write down what I felt was true in my mind, because I could have been completely taken down a whole journey and a whole situation of believing what society wanted me to believe and what society wanted me to do. Because at that point, if you ever find out that your husband's cheated on you, the first reaction is to leave. Well, that was not my first reaction, because I found that out that it happened like 3 years ago. And at that point, what I did was write out all of everything, and it unraveled everything. And what it did was it actually gave me the ability to turn all of my chaos out in my brain and put it out on a piece of paper. Now, did I burn it? I probably did. I did actually burn one. I remember being upstairs and asking him to light a fire, and he lit a fire, and I burnt it and did a ceremony. There were some times I actually just threw it away, and there were some times that I kept it in the book that I was writing in. But what it did is it gave me structure to this mess and this chaos that was in my head. And it actually made me identify my pain patterns and what was going on in my hurt. And it formalized them. It kind of made them into sense. And it made meaning to what I wanted that was going on in my mind. And because what it did is it allowed it to come out. And because I do believe that if it gets stuck in your head, it kind of festers. When things are out on a page, okay, when things are out on a page here, it has room to breathe. It has room to be, you're putting it down, you're actually releasing it from your body. There is science around this, so scientific evidence that shows that when you are starting to journal your emotions, it can have an emotional release, a physical release, and a spiritual release. The other thing is when you're allowing yourself to write through the pain, we're less reactive. And what I mean by that is we have these moments of just wanting to just lash out. Listen, was I the greatest mom? No, not at all. But I do feel if I had probably have had a stronger journaling practice at that time, I may not have lashed out. I may have understood things. But I do feel that through a lot of the therapies that I've done, a lot of the self-help, and a lot of the way that I've actually identified things and I've looked at myself, I've often turned to scribing or journaling, which I think is really powerful. Now, one of the things that how Elrod talks about in his book, when we talk about the morning miracle, he talks about how scribing is what he called it. Scribing really is a way of getting things right. But what he writes in a gratitude space, he writes in a place that is, looking at gratitude. And I will share with you, mine was all about gratitude today. What do I have to be grateful for right now? And I talked about Chris, I talked about my kids, I talked about Ray on here, but don't tell him. I talked about my Norway trip, the fact that I'm going to Norway, and I'm going to I'm going to Norway, and I'm super excited about going to Norway. I talked about having amazing friends. I talked about having, potential buyer for my house, that I have a beautiful house, that my parents are still alive. I have all of these things that I was talking about. And as I was talking about all of this, it's actually filling me up with gratitude. And I felt like, wow, I'm allowing myself to journal. We don't have to have these moments of like, oh, my life is so shit, and just bringing out of all of our mess. What we want to do is, it's almost like this mindful reflection, these emotional check-ins, these plans that we want to do. Another time that I've journaled is, let me just find it, is I've written a letter. Written a letter to myself a year ahead of all the things that I'm going to be creating. I've written things out that I want to follow. Things that I am assuring to myself, things that I'm actually committing to myself. These are things that I'm allowing myself to commit to. And so I've allowed myself to journal. And I think that's one of the things that we have to realize, is that journaling isn't just allowing yourself to write down all of your crap, which I think is very valid, but also it's your dreams, it's your hopes, it's your dreams, it's your desires. Keeping them locked within you never allows the writing to breathe, never allows it to breathe, allows it to escape. It never allows it to have that moment of just letting go. Because when we're actually writing it down, guess what? Oh my God, I have an idea. I have an idea. I have an idea over here. When we're locking it deep inside, it's like our dreams are never going to see the light of day. And I'm going to encourage you all to have that opportunity to really allow your dreams to see the light of day, to have that breath, to feel that they have the room to breathe. So I'm going to ask you, what is it that you are hiding right now that you don't want to breathe life into? Is there a dream that you want to bring out into your life that you are really scared to do? Write it down on a piece of paper. I'm also going to pose some questions to you. Let's say, I can't do it because I can't afford it, or whatever it is. Why don't you ask yourself in that question, in that journaling, how might I afford X? And then write down all of the possibilities that you can to get to that point. I think it's so powerful. Okay, number one. Now, let's talk about what they call scribing. We can call that channeling. I have written a book. In fact, I'm trying to see that this is called Not Being Prepared. I have written a book called Divine Wisdom, where I literally just wrote messages from spirit. And this is about me having ability to communicate with spirit. And I am just scribing, and I am allowing spirit to completely come out. And I am able to tune into that messages. Call it tuning into these whispers of the soul, to our guides, our spirit, our higher self, our higher masters, the light beings, whatever it is. We are allowing ourselves to just channel our information and scribe, allowing it to be, allowing it just to release from us. Spirit want to be heard. Spirit want to be communicated with. I have so many people who say to me, wow, Lisa, I want to communicate with spirit, but they're waking me up at night. Well, they're going to wake you up at night if you don't make time for them. I'm sorry, they're going to. So make time for them. Get a pen and a paper and literally sit here and just say, okay, spirit, give me information. Let them write through you. Some people will call it automatic writing. Some people will call it, I don't know, scribing. It doesn't matter what language you decide to use. I'm going to say to you, write. Allow yourself to write this information, however it is, allow it to be. I have so many. In fact, I could probably turn to them right now and I could just pull one out, and you would be surprised at how accurate it will be. It will just come up. So, in fact, I'm actually going to do that now. I'm just going to find these messages because I have so many messages. All right, here we go. Messages. I have so many, and I'm just going to pull one, and here it is. All right, we have a message from Spirit. That message, it really it allows us to connect in with Spirit. So I think it's powerful. In fact, now I want to read the message. All right, are you ready? I'm going to read the message because I think why not? It says, opening your heart to the wisdom of change is valuable as you navigate through life. Change is always scary, and there's nothing that you can do but breathe through that moment and allow the change to happen. It's perfect. Once you start to control the change, you will hinder the process. All you have you all have challenges and changes that need to happen, and it's your control rather than surrendering that will stop the growth that needs to happen in order for you to get to the next level. Fear can overtake, and in that process, you will pull yourself back to the point before the change started. And if you do, the growth process is longer and often harder. So, what is the point? Allowing yourself to surrender in this moment is discomfort, but enlightenment and growth. Once you are through this moment, you look back and see what you had to do. What you had to do was to change so much. You had to look back and see the sacrifices and realize that while it was hard and sometimes painful, it was worth it. Surrendering in the process of change, surrendering is the process of releasing it to the divine. Surrendering is trusting that there is a plan and that we all have your back in what you do. It's allowing yourself in that moment to breathe and hold your emotions in regard and nurture the love that you have for you. It is a process of ease that will maneuver you through this change. It is growth beyond the highest level. It's exceptional growth and trusting in Spirit to believe that you are always on the right path no matter what. Believe and surrender to us and know that we always lead you home. Blessings, my friend. There you go. You can have, that was a powerful message. And sometimes I open these up, and what I do is I'm like, wow, I need a message. There's my message. That is what I needed, because sometimes we have to write about change and it's scary. It really is scary. So both journaling and scribing is sacred. This scribing, this ability just to channel information, it will change you. It will give you messages that are like that you'll be like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Now, a lot of people might be going, I can't write. I'm not a writer. All right, listen, I get it. I love writing. I don't do it often enough, and part of my scribing, I've committed myself to doing it. You don't have to worry about your spelling. It doesn't have to be poetic. It doesn't have to be anything. This is about being honest. This is about being honest as you are. Think of it as, I guess, I don't know, energetic hygiene, like brushing your teeth, like taking a shower, but you're doing it for your soul. You're allowing your soul to breathe. You're allowing yourself to really get to the depth of you, the deepest core of you, which I think is so powerful and so important. I can't tell you how many people I know who have really started to uncover their own health concerns through writing and journaling. Turin was one of them. I've had many clients that have had major health concerns. They come to me for, I'm not here to diagnose, but definitely to help them. And in that moment, what I'm going to do is, as I'm diving into them, I'm like, oh, it's this. Oh, you have that. And at that point, I'm like, let me create you journal prompts. And I can create them journal prompts because that's kind of what I'm good at. is I create these journal prompts that it allows them to dive deeper. It allows them to really start looking at these prompts and looking at what is the reason behind it. And I'll tell you, once you start writing and you start being honest with yourself, you'll be surprised at how much you do not want to stop, because you don't want to. You actually want to allow yourself to unravel. And that's what it is. It's not about unraveling negatively. You're unraveling to a point that it's like, it's honesty. It is so honest. Anything that's messy, we want messy thoughts on here. We want your handwriting to be messy. We want all of this yuck on there, because what it's doing is it's unleashing and it's unraveling everything that you probably have needed some understanding on, really understanding on. Listen, I'm also going to say this. Have you ever thought about writing a book? Have you ever thought about writing a book? I'm going to say to you, if you've thought about writing a book, many people have. We've all got 4 or 5 books in us. Write these things down. Write in your journal, because if you thought about writing a book, you're going to be using this journal. You're going to be using these thoughts for your book. How do you think that you can hold everything that happened to you in your brain? You can't. You're going to forget things. And when you actually let yourself to dive into your thoughts, into your past journals, you'll be like, oh my God, I forgot that. Oh my God, I forgot that. Oh my God, I forgot that. When we're starting to dive into our thoughts and our feelings, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to honor the way that our life has been. Okay, so utilize that information for your book. Utilize it for somebody else's book. It's there for a reason. So a lot of you might be going, okay, Lisa, so when do I journal? All right. Well, when don't you journal? Okay. First of all, I journal in the morning. I love journaling in the morning. It's one of my favorite times. I lie in bed and I journal and I write away and I let the cobwebs come out and I set my intentions, and I love journaling. I do it for 20 minutes in the morning. I set a timer. On my phone, I have a timer, and I set a timer for me to meditate. I set for 10 minutes, and then I meditate, and then I journal. I probably read for 20 minutes, and I probably journal for 15 to 20 minutes. And as I am journaling, and I do it in that order. So I do my meditations first, and then I allow my journaling to be the last thing that I do. The reason why I allow my journaling to be the last thing that I do is because maybe my thoughts are being unraveled in my silence, or anything that I've woken up with, like, nah, 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 nah. I allow my silence to kind of calm everything down. I let my visualization come through. I start doing my affirmations. I sometimes do a lot of movement, or I might do a few sun salutations on my yoga mat. And at that point, then what was important to me at the beginning of my practice may not be as important to me at the end. And I find that what I'm really doing is I'm getting through the crap and I'm getting through the muck, and I'm kind of getting into this place and I'm breathing. And at that point, I then write from intention. I write from gratitude. I write from love. I write from appreciation. I write from prosperity. I write from abundance. I write from a variety of different places. And that is when I get the real core out of it. I really dive into it, and it's powerful. And of course, you can do it at night as well. This is about, time of reflection. This is about letting spirit come in. This is a time of releasing. This is a time of thankfulness and gratitude. If you're having a bad day, don't start shouting at the kids or shouting at the husband. Reach for the pen, grab the notebook, reach for the pen, go and sit down. I can't tell, honestly, I've written, sometimes I'll even write it on my phone. And I remember looking through my phone the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I was looking for something. And I was like, oh my God. And I can see it. Chris, I'm really angry right now. And I was like, oh boy, I don't want to go and read that. I don't want to read that. But I could see myself, I'd honored that space that I was in Is my marriage all flowers and romance? No, it's not. But it was important for me to honor that place where I was. It was crazy. So we're going to look at some journal prompts. Okay. Journal prompts are really, really important. Okay. Some of the journal prompts that we can work with are here to help you open your mind and expand it. You could absolutely go into gratitude. What am I grateful for today? And I love that. What am I grateful for today? That was definitely what do I have to be grateful for right now? And that was definitely my journal prompt today. There have been times that I have looked at where am I out of integrity? That was a really powerful one. Where am I out of integrity? That was hard because I tried to live my life in very much integrity. And I was like, wow, the only place I'm out of integrity for myself is with myself. Like, if I say to you, I'm going to do something, I will bust my ass to do it. But if I say I'm going to do it for me, yeah, I let myself down often. So, you know, that's where I found out I was out of integrity. And then I actually had to look at myself I wrote myself a letter of a year from now. And I said, right, what steps am I willing to take to make this happen? And I wrote it all down. And I'd written focus twice, actually. And I was like, oh. And then I marked down the things that I could action today. And I did it. I absolutely did it. And that was another thing. Okay. Wow. How can I differentiate myself and my business? Yeah. So I looked at my business in here. So again, there are a lot of things that you can write down. So look at these prompts. So I'm going to give you a couple of prompts here that you may enjoy working with or you may not. And listen, if you want to do a whole morning and if you want to kind of help yourself, I have a free gift on my website. Just go to lisawilliams.com/free gift and you'll find it all in there. There are journal prompts, there are exercises, there are videos, there is breath work, there's all sorts of things, which is good. And I am soon to be releasing something that I'm very excited about. Oh my gosh, which I can't tell you about, but I'm releasing it as soon as I've been in Norway because I'm releasing that in Norway. So if you want to come and find out more, then come to Norway. But anyway, so let's go back into these journal prompts. Write this down. Grab yourself a pen and paper. There's no time like the present. So ask yourself, what emotion have I been avoiding? What emotion have I been avoiding? Write it down. Write down everything what your emotion has been avoiding. Now, you might be that person that is also sitting and thinking to yourself, I don't like to journal. I don't enjoy journaling. And in that moment of me journaling, it doesn't vibe for me. Well, think about it. Just think about what emotion have you been avoiding. Just think about it. Voice it. Write it out. Maybe you can speak it out as well. Another question. If my soul could speak, what would it say right now? If my soul could speak, what would it say right now? That forces you to go deep into the soul. Whew. And allow yourself just to be calm and allow yourself to connect into your soul. If my soul could speak right now, what would it say? What would it say? Have that moment. Mine just said it's happy. So allow yourself this honoring and this opportunity to connect deep into that place. And one last one. Oh, where in my life am I pretending everything's okay? So, where in my life am I pretending everything is okay? Oh, 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 that's a hard one. I immediately can say that. But you know what? I don't want to look at it. And so this is the moment that you go, oh, yeah, you got to look at that. You got to look at that. Nothing is, where I'm pretending everything is okay. It's not okay. I'm waiting for this phase of my life to be done because I'm waiting for my husband to retire. And we have spent probably 5 days together in the last month, and I am over it. And we are so close to retirement. He is retiring from the army after 20 years, and he's going through all of his out processing right now. And he is free to leave in 5 days, which makes me so happy. Not exactly from the army. His last day in uniform is in October. But oh my gosh, I am. Where am I pretending that everything's okay? There, because it's not. Because I am over it. I miss him. I am done with it. It's a lot of messiness. His friend just had a major motorcycle accident, and it's like icky. It kind of seeps in and it kind of filters in. So that is a great place where you realize that you're pretending it's not okay, and you realize that it's seeping into other areas. That's a point that you want to journal. That's the time that you want to journal on it. You want to find out, you want to unravel it, you want to get into that part of you that makes you go, wow, what part of me is acting up? Is it my 5-year-old self? What does that part of me want? And obviously spirit is coming in right now because my nose has gone incredibly itchy. So that's what happens when spirit comes in. Anyway, so as we navigate around that one, recognize that what is it that you need to journal about? Okay, because what this is going to do is when you start doing this, you're going to start hearing yourself again. You're going to be able to make more decisions with clarity. You're going to start to, I don't know, feel yourself. You're going to start stopping yourself like self-sabotaging. You're going to look at yourself and go, oh, wow, stop speaking to myself like this. We just did a podcast recently with Dana Grant with her book. And she talks about here how we lie to ourselves. Okay, we self-sabotage. We lie to ourselves. The Truth Within the Lie is her book. And when we're talking about that, what we're doing is we're lying deep into ourselves, and our voice is the loudest voice that we're hearing. It's true. Spirit is coming in. That's so crazy how spirit comes in and how it's now starting to, oh my gosh, okay. And so recognize that some days here, you may channel the deepest, most intimate parts of you. You may channel this deep wisdom that you didn't even realize was yours. I mean, like some of my messages from spirit, you don't even realize it is yours. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to set a challenge. And we'll set a challenge tonight. Let's start it tonight. Yes. You've all got these fancy journals that you have bought and you've thought, wow, they are amazing. They're beautiful, whatever. I bought myself this simple one from Walmart because I wanted something simple that I could travel with. And you don't want to write in them because you don't want to mess them up, or whatever. Wherever it is, I don't care wherever it is. It could be a scrap of paper for all I care. I want you to write for 5 minutes. Don't edit it. Don't censor it. Just write. Allow yourself to write. Listen to your own intuition. Your intuition is the deepest part of you. It's the safest. It's the part that makes you safe. It's whispering back at you. And I'm just going to say, just keep going. Put a timer on. Allow yourself to dive into this and just trust. It changes everything. So remember, your words matter, even the ones that no one else is ever going to see. And actually, those ones are the most important, because when you write them down, you're giving them space. You're no longer carrying them with you. It is where you're giving them space. And that, my friends, is when healing starts. So, for me, my name's Lisa Williams. Thank you for joining me. I challenge you to start the journal. Write it down. 20 minutes. Maybe even 5 minutes, whatever it is, allow yourself to write. Thank you for listening to Hope, Healing, and Transformation. I will see you all again next time.
Do you feel a whisper in the back of your mind, like the truth is waiting, but it's hard to find? Well, maybe there's magic in the words she brings. Close your eyes and listen in. Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. Hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.